Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Tuesday, 10th of October, 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the island. Background to that news, we've got sport and business and Sea Watch and travel updates and the newsmakers in person. This evening, Robinson's comment on the demise of Shoprite, the concern over child exploitation, nurses' strikes being called off, the problem of homelessness on the Isle of Man, and the Chough Award winners.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Faster Mai, Siobhan Fletcher.
Faster Mai. Robinson says its commitment to promoting locally grown produce for Manx residents remains unwavering. It's described the sale of Shoprite's 9 stores to Tesco as an unexpected development. Treasury has approved additional funds to facilitate a new pay offer for nurses from Manx Care. Members of the Royal College of Nursing had been due to strike for 2 days next week in a row over pay and working conditions. That industrial action has now been paused while a revised offer is considered. Homelessness is a problem on the Isle of Man, but one which is predominantly existing behind closed doors. Housing Matters says it currently is assisting 41 people who are of no fixed abode. Further afield, more rockets have been fired at Israel from Gaza and Lebanon as airstrikes intensify in retaliation. A UN-appointed commission of inquiry says there's already clear evidence war crimes may have been committed by both sides. A 28-year-old man has been arrested after Sir Keir Starmer's speech to the Labour conference was interrupted by a protester. Glitter was thrown over the party leader before he promised to increase economic growth and house building if elected. And a statement's been posted on Holly Willoughby's social media account saying the presenter's leaving this morning after 14 years. She's not returned to the show since a man was charged last week with an alleged plot to kidnap and murder her. They're your headlines. News at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Garamaya, thank you, Siobhan. From the Ronaldsway Met Office, there is a strong wind warning in operation. State of sea is slight, becoming moderate, becoming slight. And the matrix signs at Sulby, Garrow, Hilbury and Albert Road are showing fog on the mountain road. Rain after dark tonight, coming in on a fresh to strong northwesterly, down to 9 Celsius. And for Crane, less breezy. It will be dry with sunny intervals, a moderate to fresh northwesterly, up to 13 Celsius. Overnight minimum is 9. And Jardine, chilly start to Thursday, dry and sunny and a light to moderate west-southwesterly, top temperature 13. Sunset this evening, 24 minutes before 7. The late high water, a minute past 10. Low tide overnight, 4:45 a.m. Sunrise 22 minutes to 8 tomorrow morning, and the morning high water at 16 minutes to 11.
Manx Glass and Glazing are proud to be an approved contractor with Construction Isle of Man. Call the team on 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
One of the firms that operates inside the Shoprite stores has given its first comment since the sale of the firm's 9 outlets to Tesco. Robinsons have issued a statement, which John Moss reads.
The statement reads, Robinsons, a long-established and prominent local retailer, wholesaler and Manx produce supplier, looks to the future in light of Shoprite's recent announcement of the sale of its 9 stores to supermarket giant Tesco. This unexpected development has prompted Robinsons to focus its efforts on ensuring the well-being of its dedicated employees within Shoprite stores and the local suppliers impacted by this transition. For nearly 5 decades, Robinsons has been a supplier of fresh fruit and vegetables to Shoprite, along with fresh fish produce from the fish market and flowers, solidifying a long-standing partnership that has contributed significantly to the Isle of Man's economy. Notably, Robinsons has also operated its own stores on Cool Road and the Terrace, providing a wide array of products to the community. community. John Hostas, chairman of Robinson's, expressed his immediate priorities, stating, "Our foremost concern is ensuring that our affected staff members are well taken care of alongside our local suppliers. On a personal note, our family has shared a special bond with the Shoprite family for nearly half a century. Rest assured, we have consistently strived to serve the best interests of the island." Managing Director Jana Hostas adds, "This transition signifies a substantial change for our family-run business, given our enduring partnership with Shoprite spanning over 50 years. Nevertheless, our commitment to promoting locally grown produce for the island's residents remains unwavering. We firmly believe that supporting the Manx economy is paramount, benefiting numerous local businesses in addition to our own. To that end, we will continue to expand our offerings of Manx produce through our stores and through our delivery and click and collect services. It's our hope that more locally sourced food finds its way to homes, restaurants, cafes and the government catering sites across the island."
Nurses on the Isle of Man will no longer go on strike next week. Members of the Royal College of Nursing Union are considering a new offer from Manx Care. The story from Tessa Hawley.
The industrial action planned for Wednesday and Thursday next week would have been the third time nurses had gone on strike this year as part of an ongoing dispute over pay and working conditions. In July, more than 100 face-to-face outpatient appointments had to be cancelled when RCN took to the picket line. They did that again in September. The revised offer would see a further 2.75% consolidated uplift on the 6% that has already been awarded for the 2022-2023 financial year. That equates to an 8.75% pay rise. The pay award of 4% for the year 2021 and 2022 remains unchanged, providing a total pay offer of 12.75% over the 2 years. Manx Care has previously said further pay offers were not possible due to an exhausted funding envelope. Despite that, Chief Executive Teresa Cope told me discussions with Treasury have had to continue.
So we put a business case through to Treasury. So the 6%, which has obviously been on the table for quite some time, is what Manx Care was funded at from Treasury. So that was passed over immediately into the pay offer. The £1,000 consolidated offer, which was made a few months ago, which was rejected by the RCN, was a result of some additional Treasury funding which was made available. And then this revised offer, again, has been achieved through some additional funding from Treasury. So, I think we've had to work really, really closely with the Department of Health and Social Care and Treasury to be able to put together this revised offer, and I guess it is a really positive step that the Royal College of Nursing have called off the industrial action and are putting this revised offer to their membership.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Fast am I, 22 minutes before 6. It's World Homeless Day today, the 10th of October, and homelessness is a problem on the Isle of Man, but one which predominantly exists behind closed doors. So says Housing Matters, the charity which works to help people try and find accommodation. Here's the manager, Carl Brew.
Although you don't see people sleeping on the streets in the Isle of Man, there are people who are homeless. We're currently helping or assisting 41 people who are what you call no fixed abode. A good portion of those people are actually sofa surfing, and that means their good friends and family are managing to put them up night by night, but they don't know where they could be sleeping the next night. We then also have a portion of people, a handful of people, let's say, who are rough sleeping, and that could be in camper vans or tents. So it is, although you can't see it on the streets, it is going on. It is going on behind closed doors.
We're in the midst of a housing crisis, as we all know. That must compound the problems that you're seeing.
We're trying to find properties for people that don't exist at the moment, because obviously the rental market is very tight, and possibly what would normally be a very affordable price for some people on benefits or low income, that's now becoming far further away for them. So a typical one-bed flat is now around £750 a month, and then you've then got to think about how to fund the property for the gas and electric and services. So things are getting harder and harder for people all the time. Housing Matters, along with a few other charities, Salvation Army and Praxis, are all involved in a strategic partnership. From that group, we're trying to influence maybe changes to make sure that homelessness is dealt with and can be resolved and have a permanent solution rather than just sticky plasters.
Services for children on the Isle of Man need significant improvement, and child exploitation is a major concern. A new report from Ofsted, the Office of Standards in Education, Children's Services and Skills, has found that risks in relation to children at risk of exploitation in the Isle of Man are not always fully identified, understood and assessed. Here's Assistant Director for Children and Family Social Work, Julie Gibney.
We'd already started working on the quality assurance framework, some of the practice issues, training and development, 16 plus scoping exercise and proposals for where we needed to go. Again, with the launch of the Safeguarding Board's Vulnerable Adolescent Strategy, we've come a long way from when that started. There's still a lot of work to do, and we were given some names of other authorities who had received excellent in their exploitation interventions from Ofsted. So we're about to go and visit them. In the general island-wide services for disabled children is a bigger conversation because it's not just children's services, it's across health, education, third sector, it's across everywhere. We have a number of children who require respite provision and short break, and we haven't got the capacity to meet the needs of those children at the moment. So we've already started to plan what we're going to do in the medium term. So we need another setting that we can provide respite in. The plans are already underway for that. I can't give a time frame because it's dependent on the checks and balances that the proposal, but it's a positive that we've got the improvement board because they will be completing those checks and balances. Children aged 16 who leave the small homes and we move them on into semi-independent. There is more we can do there, and we have plans to progress the semi-independent homes more like a children's home. The next aspect to that is the 18 plus. There isn't a lot out there for our 18 plus. Yes, they have the aftercare services who will provide them with support, and they've got drop-in centres, but we need a form of accommodation where they can move on to from semi-independent that's still supported but not a children's home.
Sea-Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motor vessel Manxman departed Heysham at 18 minutes past 2. She'll be in Douglas in the next 10-15 minutes or so onto the link span. This evening's departure at 8:15 is Ben McCree heading to Heysham, arriving there around midnight. The overnight departure from Lancashire's at 2:15, back to Douglas at 6 tomorrow morning. And the departure tomorrow morning, 8:45, Manxman heads for Heysham.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
The Manx Farming and Wildlife Advisory Groups announced winners of the annual Chough Awards. Farms of all sizes entered the Conservation Challenge, which celebrates and encourages agriculturalists to protect the Isle of Man's biodiversity. Anna Carouche from Balafale in Mackle took the crown overall, and she said it was a pleasant surprise.
I think the main thing that I'm glad to hear today is that we're all commercial farmers here, and it's just, we're making space for nature on commercial working farms. So I think everybody can do that. Just take the time to think what little changes you can make to benefit nature.
They spoke about you've had to change your operations on the farm slightly and adapt to things. And has that helped with the sort of biodiversity side of it as well?
We're very lucky that we're on the coast. We've got some quite unusual habitat, and we've also got some wet land that grows a lot of orchids. And I think the difference is that my health has forced me to slow down and notice what's always been there and kind of think, well, how can we work with that? For example, we've got what we call a curragh or a gary, a wet field. We've decided to fully protect that field, and we'll cut it later for hay to give the orchids more chance. And other things like we have coastal brews, we have choughs there and curlew, and I've realised the importance of grazing that ground, and the judges actually pointed out that when you look around, a lot of the coast has just been swamped with bracken, but because we're grazing through the winter, we're keeping that under control, and we've got this quite unusual habitat of ant hills which need the ground kept open, and the choughs need it open for feeding. So keeping the bracken under control is really important.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 16 minutes before 6, the British International Internet-Based Market Research and Data Analytics Group, YouGov, saw annual profits surge as it reiterated its confidence in hitting market forecasts for the current year in spite of a difficult trading environment. In terms of its regional performance, YouGov said it saw strong growth across all regions, though trading in the United States was affected by a slowdown in the tech centre. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. Birkenstock's planned initial public offering on the New York Stock Exchange has generated lots of interest recently. The German footwear company is looking at an $11 billion valuation, as per the Wall Street Journal. But it faces a unique challenge. Amidst high interest rates, which weigh on stock markets, Birkenstock, remember that's the comfy sandals company, wants to succeed as much as Crocs. Now, Crocs up significantly since its 2006 listing, and they also want to avoid the fate of another footwear company, Allbirds, which is down 96% since its IPO in 2021. Birkenstock plans to leverage its brand transformation from solid to trendy. 72% of its customer base comprises women, of course, including the Barbie star Margot Robbie. The 249-year-old company sees growth potential within a modern feminist target group with a rejection of formal dress culture while aiming to raise its posh credentials. Now, Bernard Arnault, the fashion conglomerate leader of LVMH, partly controls El Catterton, which is the private equity owner of Birkenstock. He hinted he might raise his stake in the brand, and if the listing succeeds, El Catterton could more than double its initial $4.8 billion investment in Birkenstock.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European stock markets were higher amid the geopolitical crisis and bloodshed in Israel and Gaza. The euro strengthened and oil fell, with traders focused on demand levels. Gold prices edged down after clocking a sharp rise in the last session. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London. The FTSE 100 up 1 0.8% at 7,628. The DAX in Frankfurt up nearly 2 percentage points at 15,423. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrials up 0.6% at 33,806. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index up 1 0.1% at 13,635. And in the Midwest in Chicago, the S&P 500 up almost a percentage point at 4,376. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 22.7 cents, €1 15.6 cents, and 23 South African rand 36.1 cents. In commodities, gold fractionally down 0.1%, if that's almost down, at $1,860 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude down 0.9% at $87.38.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
There are questions about the impact of the sale of Shoprite to Tesco and what effect it'll have on local producers. Bushy Brewery founder Martin Brunschweiler says the brand is very grateful for the years of support from Shoprite.
I think I'm still sort of letting it sort of settle in. I'm not sure what to think really, but my initial instinct is how grateful we have been to Shoprite over the years for stocking. I'm not talking just us. Lots and lots of local suppliers have been helped out by Shoprite, and during the COVID situation, they came to our rescue when after we'd already stockpiled all the beer for the TT in 2020. We thought we were going to be throwing it away, and thankfully Shoprite agreed to allow us to put the beer, all that beer into milk containers, and we sold it through their fridges. And that literally kept us afloat during a really tough time. It all depends whether Tesco are prepared to continue that policy and to allow local produce to be on their shelves. it's, as you say, I'm sure we know there are a lot more hoops you have to jump through if you want to be a supplier to Tesco or any of the big supermarket chains. But yeah, I think we're really going to miss Shoprite. I think we'll pray that Tesco continue it, but no, at the moment it's all up in the air.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Faster my Dave Moore.
Faster my. Team Great Britain took silver at the Nations Cup final in the Netherlands. The Isle of Man's Yasmin Ingham played her part, riding a clear show jumping round on her horse Piglet. However, she picked up a time penalty on the cross-country section. The event was won by France, while Belgium captured the series title. Meanwhile, her fiancé Jamie McCanny ended the Enduro GP season with podium finishes on both days of the final round of the Enduro 1 World Championship in Portugal. And keeping it in the family, Yasmin's younger brother Max Ingham was also competing in the junior class, which also brought success for the Isle of Man, with Jed Etchells claiming the crown. He becomes the latest Manx rider to win the world title. Closer to home, and we move on to football, where Peel maintained their 100% record in the Isle of Man Canada Life Women's League. They beat Douglas Royal by 12 goals to 3 to make it 4 wins out of 4. Meanwhile, defending champions Corinthians remain second after a comprehensive 18-0 victory over Castletown. Teenager and Ireland striker Erin Sells bagging 6 of the goals. In the remaining fixture, Onken left it late to snatch a draw at home to Maloo. Amy Speed scoring the equaliser in the dying embers of the game to make it a 2-2 scoreline. Onken are top of the table in the Isle of Man Masters League after beating Union Mills as they continued their 100% record to the start of the campaign, and Corinthians won their first game of the veteran season with victory over Douglas and District.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronalds Way. Next, it's the 10 to 8 Loganair from London City on time, the 5 to 8 Loganair from Liverpool on time, the returning patient transfer plane, and the quarter-past 8 EasyJet from London Gatwick is showing on time. Departing, the 5:30 EasyJet to Liverpool, delayed, not gone yet, shortly I would imagine. 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool on time. 8:45 EasyJet back to London Gatwick is currently showing on time. Hillside Avenue in Douglas is closed between it and Circular Road for adjacent office window replacement. We've got temporary lights on Glen Crutchery Road at the roundabout with Victoria Road for resurfacing traffic along Glen Crutchery. Can't turn down Victoria Road. Temporary lights at the junction of Queen's Road and Park Road in Port St Mary for gas main work. Little Mill Road and Ballycottier in Onken closed for ditching work. Temporary lights on Cool Road near the Alaman Business Park for drainage work in Braddon, and temporary lights on Farrants Way, Castletown for pavement work. Station Road, Port Erin's closed between Brighton Street and Strand Road for repairs to the crossing area, parking restrictions for a temporary bus stop. And in Greeba, temporary lights on the main road between Greeba Bridge and Ballacrane for ducting work. And remember, Newcastle Town Road's closed till, well, it's due to be finished at the end of this month, maybe before, closed between Spring Valley Roundabout and the bottom of Richmond Hill for resurfacing.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
A Douglas man who sparked an armed police response after telling officers that he had a shotgun and there would be a dead body in the morning has been spared jail. Here's Tessa with the story.
Sean Peter Ross Maunders of Quines Corner called emergency services at around 4:30 on the afternoon of the 16th of August. Armed officers were sent to the 30-year-old's address, sparking road closures and a cordon in the capital. As he was being arrested, he kicked out and Parva incapacitant spray and leg restraints had to be used to detain him. Maunders later admitted to sending offensive, indecent or menacing messages and resisting police officers in the execution of their duty. During sentencing at Douglas Courthouse, Maunders' advocate said his client's claim that he had a gun was fictitious, adding he was threatening to harm himself and not others. Detailing his mental health issues, he described him as a damaged man with difficulties, adding, unfortunately, the response is to consume alcohol, which exacerbates matters. The court heard Maunders is already subject to a suspended sentence supervision order, which was imposed in May last year after he assaulted 5 police officers. Sentencing him for the new offences, Deputy High Bailiff Rachel Braidwood said it hadn't been an easy task, telling Maunders, "The question is, what do I do with you?" Adding that it was more luck than design that he hadn't injured a police officer during his arrest, she said his behaviour would have caused alarm to the public. Sentencing him to 5 months in custody, which will be suspended for 2 years. She told him, "I'm going to take the somewhat exceptional step of not activating your suspended sentence. This is very much your final chance."
This is the most listened to Isle of Man news source, and Manx Radio's Update is the Isle of Man's most downloaded news podcast.
There was a drop in the number of people attending the recent Isle of Man Government Conference. With the detail, Tessa Hawley.
Figures show 754 people turned up at this year's event. That's down from more than 1,000 in 2022. The 2-day conference was held at the Villa Marina on the 20th and 21st of September and was designed to set out government's priorities and progress over a number of areas. Speaking after the first day, Chief Minister Alfred Cannon said the event had to evolve.
There's obviously limitations. Not everybody can come out on a Wednesday evening. It's not perfect. I think part of what we're trying to do is to evolve and develop this conference concept, if you like. You know, for the 100 or so people that were in the room, hopefully it was a good chance for them to question me, and I hope they got something out of it.
But despite 508 people registering in advance for a free place at the Wednesday evening session, just 258 attended. The following day, 449 took part, again down from the 597 who had signed up. A spokesperson for the Isle of Man government has confirmed to Manx Radio the figures, which it says are estimates, include the number of check-ins from the Eventbrite booking platform, walk-ins, panellists and named guests. An additional 47 government staff and politicians were also recorded as attending. The figures do not take into account people who attended sponsored events run as part of the conference.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Siobhan Fletcher, producer Tessa Hawley. After the news at 6, the Isle of Man Post Office, proudly 50 years old. Greatest Hits with Chris Kinley at 6:30. The Folk Show at 9 with John Barker. And I'll be back tomorrow.
WINT